So earlier I talked about there are only two things that cause bare soil. One is overresting land and the other is fire. This is a very good example of soil that's got capping from years of overrest. And as you can see, this cap with the moss growing on top of it, and as you can see this water running off, there's no way for the rainwater to penetrate and go into the aquifer. All this rain will just run off from this bare soil. Now we're going to walk down to the stream right here and you will see the consequence of rain running off the land because there's no ground cover. To regenerate this area, you can see all these pipelines and these pipes going everywhere where they are trying to irrigate shrubs. Now, shrubs' roots are the wrong root system to hold soil in place. And we're just wasting time, money and energy on a regenerative project that is doomed to fail. There is the consequence of bare soil. There is the consequence of a decision to keep grazing animals off the land that are the only thing we know of that keep grasslands in a brittle environment like California has alive. So without the herding animals to keep the grass alive, the soil becomes bare, because only two things create bare soil: overresting land and fire. This land is a typical example of overrested land, and the consequence is there is our topsoil flowing out to sea.
Good.
I'm standing here on a piece of regenerative agricultural land managed using livestock to a holistic grazing plan, and they have used the livestock to heal this land, to get the soil covered with ground cover, to get there to be mulch and healthy grassland. Now, directly above me, at roughly a 30-degree incline, is roughly between 100 and 200 yards of steep hill. On either side you can see steep hill slopes, and if you look down the valley it is steep. But there are no torrents of brown silt-laden water flowing off this land. In fact, if we look over here, you can see the water flowing out of the soil. None of it's actually coming from above. It's actually flowing out of the ground, crystal clear, after it's soaked in to the hillside up the hill. Now, it was able to do that because the ground has a thick layer of mulch from grass, from grazing animals trampling it flat during the 9 months of the dry season, and preparing the land to store and hold water. Only when the ground got saturated after nearly 4 inches of rainfall in 3 days, only once the ground finally got saturated was water able to gently flow out of the ground at this point on the key line. We're at the key line point on this hillside.